One of the most important principles that I've learned over the years in my own inner life is that for grace and inspiration, healing, wisdom to arrive, two seemingly paradoxical elements must dance in balance together. Number one, we must be sincere in our efforts, show up for our spiritual practice, whether that's some form of meditation, prayer, inquiry, learning to stay present, whatever helps us to truly be here and face what is with courage and compassion and curiosity to see what is and see what isn't. But equally as important is allowing space, taking our foot off the gas pedal, relaxing our trying, even our spiritual trying at times to get somewhere in particular, to arrive at some enlightened destination, but actually to just learn to be right where we are. This is really hard for the mind to understand at times because in our culture we're so driven to think in terms of achievement that we can easily superimpose that egocentric viewpoint onto spiritual realization. It's simple to just let ourselves be as we are, where we are. It's the paradox that most brings us into the receptive condition where we can be spontaneously available to grace and insight and blessings that truly light us up and bring alive what it is that we most need to flourish and thrive wherever we happen to be in life or on our spiritual path. But learning to just be is an oxymoron because we shouldn't really need to learn something that is what is absolutely natural, but nevertheless it can feel quite foreign in the world that we live in. Often it can induce feelings of guilt, thoughts such as, I should be doing something useful, I shouldn't just be sitting outside with a cup of tea enjoying the birds, I should be producing something, there's all these things on my to-do list, I can't possibly stop until they're done. But if we are obedient to such thoughts, we find ourselves getting lost in the hypnosis of our cultural trance. It's very easy to get lost in this ego thrum of our times that seems to be saying, do more, get more, become more, relinquish more, seek for more. No time to rest, no God to rest in, no place or space for rest or fallow time. And of course, not only is that not good for our bodies, for our relationships, for our social well-being, it also cuts us off from experiencing the natural great peace and joy and fulfillment and love that is intrinsic to our deepest nature, that's sewn into the very fabric of our being. When we're so busy in our doing that there's not enough time and space for simple being, we don't experience so easily the fact that all of life, all of our experiences, the ups and downs, the good, the bad, the ugly, is happening within the divine fabric of God or being. And so the result is that we keep living in external orientation. We keep reaching for more, living on the surface of ourselves, in the realm of personality, on the outside. We're spinning our wheels, seeking, but never truly finding. So this trap is fed by our present culture, and I'm old enough to know what it was like to run a business or a non-profit in the time before emails, where there was a bit of a grace period. And we all knew if we wrote a letter to someone, it would take a couple of days to arrive, and they needed a couple of days to respond to it before we received an answer back. But now the technology we're all using that was designed to make things more efficient and our lives easier seems really to just have increased the expectations of what we should all be able to get done in a day. And often we're all worshipping at an altar of speed rather than elegance of action. Our quality of being often suffers, and it's very easy to get disconnected from what's actually good, actually supportive of our peace of mind, of our open, loving hearts, of our health and our relationships. So I happen to feel that the antidote to a lot of this, and all this screen time that we're all doing more of, myself included these days, that can be really wonderful and provides phenomenal possibilities, especially in this time of COVID, where we, depending on where you live, still have to be careful about coming back to in-person contact. But the antidote really, I think, is more time in nature, and not just time where we're superimposing the same kind of achievement-oriented mindset, like how fast can we get up the hill and burn off calories, but more time to just slow down and be and allow the restoration of being natural, harmonizing with the natural environment. Whether for you that takes the form of just enjoying time, in the sunshine on your deck or garden with a simple cup of tea. Whether for you that takes the form of a walk in the forest or the beach, or whether there's a tree in your favorite park that beckons for you just to stop and sit or lie down in the grass and let yourself be. Summertime, which is what it is here in the Northern Hemisphere where I live, is really the natural time in the cycles of the year where all of nature really is encouraging us to take our foot off the gas pedal, to stop the focus so much on production and to shift our focus to being, to relaxation, to being in nature. So I'm inviting you to let nature help you shift gears, even if you live in the Southern Hemisphere and it's winter time, but to consider what would support you to unplug from your screen, your cell phone for a few hours, or maybe a few days if you're daring, or perhaps to take a weekly technology Sabbath and allow your system to become divinely disobedient from the ting of a text or a notification, or maybe even to turn those pings off. So you look at them when you're ready to look at them. You don't just let yourself be pulled quite so much, but let your focus instead shift into nature and let Mother Nature and the natural world help support you to return to your natural factory default setting. This is exactly what I'm going to be doing in the coming few weeks. I'm going to be taking a very good dose of my own medicine and letting ego relaxation happen all the way down into my bones. I have been focused over the winter months on not only teachings and retreats and broadcastings and clients, but I've just handed in the manuscript of something called the Grace Deck, where all these teachings on grace and ego relaxation will be being put forth into a beautiful tarot card-like deck, which I'm sure that you'll be interested to hear about later in the fall, and recording a new mantra album, which is also going to be coming out later this year. It's been very creatively exciting, but a time of immense focus and concentration, and it is time to redress the balance now. So this year, I, with my husband, will be preparing to leave the world behind and backpack into the high Sierra wilderness. It's a tough climb for our aging bodies to hoist heavy packs full of the week's bare necessities plus a couple of little luxuries, and to walk that path, that steep path that takes us away from towns and people and cell phones and technology and all of that, and to walk. And even though I'm carrying a lot of weight, it's something that isn't so easy physically, at least, to get up there. Simultaneously, I feel the weight of the world falling off me every time we do this. And I feel this natural happiness and this natural return to everything being as it is, and my being returning to its basic, fundamental, natural condition, supported by this environment that has got zero manipulation coming from anything of a human mind. It is just divine hands that have sculpted the landscape. So I notice that my husband and I, whenever we do this, we drop into a very natural quality of being where we're in an embodied state of grace without it being a big deal. Everything is exactly as it is, and the subtle senses become heightened. The bird song has this quality of piercing my heart open. The way that the breeze causes the grass to ripple feels very alive, like the blessing that it is. Everything has this felt quality of being so alive with richness and texture, and yet it's simple and direct. Everything feels nourishing and full of grace. In this pristine, natural environment where ice is starting to melt and create waterfalls that I find so inspirational, I find that my beloved and I just drop into a very natural, easeful harmony and communication. And often there's not even a lot of talking that happens between us. And yet there's always a lot of things that need to be done. There's tent to pitch, there's trout to catch for dinner, there's the cooking of the dinner, there's the cleaning it, there's a lot to handle when you're out in the wilderness. But I notice that the doing happens with a natural ease and an efficiency and a flow. There's not a leading with thought or thinking, head-butting our way on what to do or when and how to do it. So reflecting on all of this, what really stuns me when I immerse myself deeply in nature is how harmonious and beautiful life is when there's that deep ego relaxation. There's a deep return to our natural innate being, and how utterly simple and direct it can be to just be as you are, to consciously recognize and rest in God, and that is the most natural thing in the world and available to every single one of us, no matter what is happening. We don't have to go up into the wilderness with those heavy backpacks. You can find your way to immerse in the natural supportive environment that invites you just to come into this moment and let go. Let it all melt and just be, so that you can receive the restoration that you most need. And recognize that that restoration is always given, and it's given without a ticket price. It's free. The question is, will you receive it? It's very easy to just keep telling yourself you don't have time, that your kids need this, your mother needs that, there's too many unanswered emails, or these things around the home that need your attention. You know, it's easy to tell yourself you must stay in production mode, or that you should keep busy, that it's noble and right. But if you inquire into those kinds of thoughts, you will likely notice that they're not actually authentic to you, that you absorbed them along the way from other egos, and that you're being hypnotically obedient to thoughts that might not actually really be true. Instead, how about just stepping outside? How about just listening to bird song? And not just thinking, oh, that's a bird song, but receiving the communication, the transmission of the bird song. What is it communicating? To put your nose in your favorite plant or flower and just breathe in the scent and feel the opulence, the incredible sensual fulfillment and goodness that is given abundantly. To take you in yourself into simple, doable environments that are accessible to you, that support a relaxation, a settling, a soothing, support you just stopping, arriving into the present moment and just being here. Even if you are going through something really difficult right now, this will help you. If you're just dealing with a tricky medical diagnosis or some tough financial news, or you're going through grief or loss or some hurt or heartbreak or hardship, it's always going to help you just to come into the present moment in the most direct way that you possibly can, and to receive the evidence for the loving goodness that is foundational to life. This helps you to quiet the mind. It helps you to hear the subtle messages from the depths that are always trying to bubble up and move you into whatever is most helpful and true for your life situation. It is the nature of grace to bubble up and bring you into synchronicity and flow and well-being. But it does require your willingness to allow space for it. So ego relaxation, which is the method that I teach, is really the most, at basic level, it's about taking a vacation from the stress and struggle that's not actually necessary, that's coming from your mind, that's coming from thinking that you really are the doer, the separate self that has to work harder to try to make everything happen. But if you really stop for a minute in nature and consider what causes the sun to rise and set each day, what is the source of that bird's song? What makes the tree that you may be resting under and enjoying suck in your carbon dioxide and give you back clean air? Notice that all these things are natural, and they are all embodiments of grace. They are all expressions of the mysteries, love for its own, and they are all free. So when you're given a gift, it's only right and proper to receive it, isn't it? To take it in to your heart, into your body, to receive the goodness and let it penetrate. Let it nourish you and restore you and bring you back to your deepest center and help you relish the gift of your life so you can have the perspective you need to let go of what you really don't need to be carrying around anymore. So, dear ones, I invite you to take this up over the coming weeks, to find a place in nature where you can just settle, where you can relax into your natural being. If you'd like a little support from me on that, if you need more than Mother Nature, you want me there with you, well, just go and have a look on my website in the store. Under audio meditations, you'll find so many resources. A few that I think would be really helpful for what I'm sharing this time would be ego relaxation and meditation practice. That will be very useful. Or rest in God. Or if you're going through something that is a little challenging, I would strongly recommend the new one called Cultivating Compassion, which is a beautiful 45-minute practice that guides you how to greet your experience and the experience of the difficulties of everyone with compassion and loving kindness. And it has some really spectacularly beautiful music composed by the Bombay Dub Orchestra. I think you'll love it. Anyway, most of all, I just wish you a restorative and restful time over the coming month, and I hope that you can allow yourself to receive everything you need and then some. So just keep coming back to being as you are, resting in God, supported by Mother Nature.